Oh, hello, YouTube. Today on The Naughty Librarian, we are going to be going over some books I actually like. So I think it's been going around, at least in the BookTube community, everyone's feeling like so burnt out and just not wanting to read, and I am not immune to this phenomenon. I've also felt so burnt out and just not wanted to read anything, but I still managed to read some stuff, so I'm counting it as a win. And there were some books that I genuinely really enjoyed, so I want to talk about those ones today. I have a bunch more books I read that I did not enjoy, so you're just gonna have to wait for that one, but it's coming. Anyway, let's get into the good stuff. As always, category 1 is books I have already reviewed, and I have 2 of them. So I have books 13 and 14 of the James Bond saga by Ian Fleming. That is Man with a Golden Gun and Octopussy and the Living Daylights. Liked both of them. I think Man with the Golden Gun is probably the most polarizing because a lot of people really don't like the ending of it. I, however, happen to like the ending of it, so for me, I think it's quite good. Octopussy, I don't love it or hate it. I'm kind of just neutral on it, but I figured I'd leave it in the good section because it's just kind of short stories that don't really go anywhere, but there are some funny ones, so it's going in my good category. But yeah, I already have full recap videos out on both of these books, and I can't believe I'm finally done with the James Bond series. That was a trip. It was a fun time, but yeah, 2 of them. Whoops, there was one more I forgot about. I also reread Twilight by Stephenie Meyer. It had been about 15 years since I read Twilight, and I was like, okay, Amanda, you're a full-ass adult now. Let's try rereading it. Let's see how it goes. Because I've read so much Anne Rice lately. Let's do different vampires. And I already have a full recap on this. I did notice a lot more stuff that I just didn't pick up on when I first read it 15 years ago. Like, I didn't have the emotional intelligence, or I guess. And I'm just seeing a lot of different things. A lot of things make more sense. Some things make less sense. So it was an experience. I think I'm going to make it a series, though, and do all the rest of the books of this saga. So I will be rereading those. But this one, I mean, I don't love it as much as I loved it the first time I read it. I think I ended up giving it like 3 stars on a second read, but I mean, I don't hate it. It's kind of average, to be honest, but I'm going to keep going because it was kind of fun to do. Next category is romance, and I have 3 of them, and they're all wildly different. Surprise of all surprises, I actually really enjoyed Bride by Ali Hazelwood. I'm as shocked as you are. Like, I read The Love Hypothesis and like low-key hated it. You know what? Not low-key, high-key I hated it. I said very many times that I didn't like the book. And it made me not want to read anything else by the author, but then I was like, whatever, I'm gonna try it out one more time. Maybe just that book I don't like. I always try to give at least a couple chances. And then Bride came out, and it's completely different. Is in an imaginary fantasy world. There's vampires and werewolves, oh my. It's kind of an enemies to lovers, marriage of convenience type of story, which is like my catnip for books. I love a marriage of convenience story. Even though this book is like super campy, I thoroughly enjoyed the camp factor of it. Like, I mean, it's a paranormal romance. Like, give me all of the werewolves and vampires and witches, oh my. Love that. And this book, it has so many cool little people in it, and like they all have different characters, and like they're all individuals. And then like our main character, her name is Misery. Like, okay, we're gonna move past that. Just stupid name. But I really like that she started off the book as this one type of person. She ends it as a completely different type of person. Also, their romance is kind of like super cute. So I am shocked as all hell that I love this. And frankly, the door is like wide open at the end of this book for more books in this series. And I would read them. Who knew? Who knew we would be here? Next up, I have Full Moon Over Freedom by Angelina M. Lopez. Oh man, I love Angelina Lopez books. They're so like comforting. You just want to curl up on the couch, have a couple drinks, have your snacks, read a book all day. This is me time books. And in particular, Full Moon Over Freedom is the sequel to After Hours on Milagro Street, which I really liked. And these ones seem very much based in reality, like a contemporary romance, but there's like a dash of paranormal in there. There's like a sprinkling, if you will. There's ghosts and there's witches. And this one is kind of like a second chance romance. So basically, this is a big Latinx family, and they're kind of from the heartland of America, and there's a lot of like cultural references in here and like cultural history, which is amazing. But in particular, we're following these three sisters, and they own like this family bar, and they have a lot of things going on for them. And this one in particular, we're following our oldest daughter, Jillian. She happens to be a bruja, and she has been keeping that part of herself locked down because she's been in a very controlling marriage for so long, and she's finally out of the marriage. So she's coming back to her hometown, and who does she run into? Her former childhood flame. And his name is Nick, and he is an artist, and he has like a damaged past. So it's like, ooh, this romance tropes is writing themselves right here. And they also go into like folklore and witchcraft and like all of these things. So it has like a steamy, cute romance in here, lovable characters, and then like a dash of brujeria. So I'm like obsessed with this series. I want more. If anyone has heard anything about more books coming out in this series, please let me know, because oh my gosh, I'm getting them. I love them so much. Last up, I have Leather and Lark by Brynne Weaver. So this is the sequel to Butcher and Blackbird, and I'm just gonna say it. It's a serial killer romance. And I mean it in a good way, which is weird to say. Essentially, there's two serial killers in here, and they fall in love with each other. But they're not, like, evil serial killers, if that is a thing. They're not going out and, like, killing innocent people. They kill bad guys, so it's a gray area, I suppose. But this is a sequel. It's one of the brothers of the first couple, and then a best friend of the first couple. And then they get together in this one. And it's almost kind of slapstick funny at times with the gore. So if you're sensitive to gore, maybe not the series for you, but it's kind of funny how gory things can get. So there's like a sense of camp here. There's a sense of romance, obviously, and it's also very spicy. Like, these are spicy. So I would say not for the faint of heart, but it's a really fun series, laugh out loud funny, and also gory and campy and steamy and romantic, and like, yes, love it. I've already pre-ordered the next book of this series. It's called Scythe and Sparrow. It's coming out next year. So yes, I'm gonna keep reading as many books in this series as Brynne Weaver will put out. Next category is standalone books, and I read two of them. I read Murder Road by Simone St. James, and Simone St. James is a total auto-buy author for me. Whatever she puts out, I'm pre-ordering it the second I hear about it. And Murder Road was no exception. The thing I really love about Simone St. James is that usually she has these twisty-turny mysteries with lots of twists I don't actually see coming. And also, she's going to double down on that with ghosts. Like, there's real ghosts in these. So I don't know. I think it's kind of like towing the line between mystery thriller and like horror. So I don't really know which I guess it's mostly a mystery with horror elements, I would say. But I love horror books, and this one has ghosts. It's not really a spoiler. All of her books have ghosts in them. But this one in particular, we have this like very newlywed couple, and they're off on their honeymoon. They're driving down this like mountain or like forest road, and they see someone on the side of the road, and they pull over to help them, and it turns out to be this young girl who has been like stabbed a lot, so they immediately take her to the hospital. Problem is, young girl dies, and they're like, hey, strangers from town who had a stabbed girl in your car, you're suspects 1 and 2. So they have to like prove their innocence, and it's a whole dark, twisty, turny backstory. And they also have ghosts they have to deal with. It's a whole lot of stuff going on here. It's kind of like an urban legend type of a story, really. And I love that aspect of it because it feels almost like folklore. And then also, surprisingly, I really like the main couple in this, because I've seen so many books, especially like in the paranormal realm, that have the couple be like at ends with each other, or maybe it's a bad marriage, whatever. They actually have a healthy relationship, even though both of them individually have a lot of skeletons in their closets. But they do genuinely love each other, and it's nice seeing them have an actual partnership that works, because they both love each other and respect each other, even though they both have fucked up pasts. So A+ for healthy relationships, and A+ for murder mystery, and also A+ for ghosts. I love Simone St. James. This is not surprising really to anybody, but yes, loved it. Next up, I have Starter Villain by John Scalzi. Like, I love John Scalzi too. If you like sci-fi, you like fantasy, you like sarcasm and like laugh out loud funny moments and just absurdity, this is the book for you. In fact, a lot of his books are the books for you. So Starter Villain is following this guy named Charlie. He's kind of a down on his luck reporter. And one day he finds out that his distant uncle had passed away. And then someone shows up at his doorstep and says, hey, your uncle wasn't just a billionaire, he actually was a super villain, and you have inherited his empire. So Charlie's like, what's that now? And he has to go deal with like a cabal of super villains and lots of cats. So if you love like super villain kind of campiness, where, you know, they all have a cat and stuff, very Blofeld. You know what? Spoiler, sorry about it, but the cats can talk. I'm just gonna say, the cats talk. That should be enough to make you want to read this, but it's laugh out loud funny. It's got super villains, campiness, sci-fi, lovable characters, smart too. So this one is just really fun. I highly recommend it. So last category is big ass chunky fantasies, and I have 3 of them. You know what? After I thought about it, I decided that I did really like The Prisoner's Throne by Holly Black. This is a continuation series from the Cruel Prince series. This is like the end of a duology. So a lot has happened. This is like book 5. Frankly, we're not going to get into all of the backstory here, but it's Holly Black writing about fairies. That's like what she does. Is what she's known for, is what she's good at. So in Prisoner's Throne, we're following this character Oak, who we met in the Cruel Prince series, but now he's a young adult. And he has to scheme and plan and do all of these things to like save the kingdom and the world. La la la. That's a very, you know, high overview of what's going on here. However, I want to preface this by saying I don't love this book, but I do like this book. So I feel like it goes in the good category because I did have a good time reading it, even though I don't think it's the strongest of Holly Black's works. Now, that being said, would I buy anything else in this Cruel Prince world that Holly Black decides to write? Yes, I would immediately. So it didn't turn me off to the series. It's just not like the best part of the series, but it was still really good. I know their heroine in here has like shark teeth, and I was like, tell me no more. I want to see your shark teeth. And Oak is like really smart, actually. I really liked how he thinks because he's very conniving, but in a good guy way, if that makes sense, where there's a lot of conniving villains, but it's hard seeing a very conniving hero. So there's aspects in here that I think are done well. It's just not the most exciting, but I liked it. I also read this beast of a book, House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J. Maas. This is kind of concluding the Crescent City series. And like, look at this. Look at this chonky boy. It's so thick. It's about 830 pages, but I read all of the pages. And since this is the end of a trilogy, I'm not gonna get too much into plot here because there's a lot to go over. But the main like idea that they're exploring a lot in this book is how all of Sarah J. Maas's like universes are connected. And I'm not gonna say any more about that because spoilers, even though it's been out for a minute, but still, I'll be nice. We're following Bryce. She's trying to save the literal world and her boyfriend and all of this other stuff. And it's kind of nice seeing characters from other universes in the Sarah J. Maas universe and characters from this series getting along. It definitely feels like, you know, contemporary fantasy, romance, love it. However, if I'm going to be honest, and criticism where criticism is due, this book should have been 2 books. It is chonky when it doesn't need to be, and I feel like there are loose threads in here that are just never addressed. So unless she's planning on like making more books in a different series or more in this series someday, those threads are just hanging in the wind. So it seems almost impossible that like some things still aren't resolved in an 830 page book, but here we are. But overall, I mean, it's Sarah J. Maas, intensely readable, and it's hot, sexy fairies. Like, what else do you want, everybody? But this one is not only fairies. You got mermen and mermaids, you got angels, you got demons and witches and all kinds of stuff. So it's really fun. Anyway, I liked it. probably should have been 2 books. Last up, I have Empire of the Damned by Jay Kristoff. I very much enjoyed this. However, it is being published by St. Martin's Press, so I don't want to talk about it that much because we are boycotting them right now. But it's vampires. It's a sequel to Empire the Vampire. Lots of stuff goes down. So I wish I could be reviewing this more than I already am, but here we are. Also, there's really cool art, and it's not the artist's fault that St. Martin's is being a butthole, but like, there's really pretty art and stuff. So I wish I could talk about it more, but that's all I'm doing. All right, so those are all the books I actually liked in the past few months. Like I said, there's more books I read, but most of them I did not like. Maybe it's me, I don't know. It's just like a summer of not wanting to read anything. I don't know, maybe it's just the books I was reading because I didn't like so many of them that it made me just not want to read anything. All I can do is try better next time. Let me know in the comments down below, what's a couple or 1 or 2 or 3, however many you want to say, of books you've really liked in the past few months. Let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, make sure you give it a like. If you want to see more videos, make sure you subscribe. And if you want cool exclusive content, including early access to videos and a book club, you can consider becoming a channel member or a patron. Links for that are in the description down below. And on that note, I'll see you guys soon. Goodbye.